We are live! Yay! Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel O'Brien, and I am a Joy Business Facilitator. And today I am here with Lale Hancock, and she also is a Joy Business Facilitator. And we've created this beautiful platform to tell you about our stories of change. And that's what we're going to, that's what Lale is going to talk about right now. So let me introduce your story of change. First, let me introduce you. Hello.
Hello. And thanks for taking the lead on this because it's so funny how often we don't even realize there's a story of change. You become more of you and choosing more for you and your business that it just becomes part of the day for you. And then it's not until someone asks you a question sometimes that we actually realize, wow, this is so different, or it created so much greater than what we actually have acknowledged it created. So thank you for putting this together.
Thanks for saying that. We can talk about that a little bit because I get that part is huge, the acknowledgement of what change. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
So your story of change is creating businesses around the world.
Yeah. Growing up, I loved business. Even as 7-year-old, I would tell my dad how to run his business. Like business has been in my blood. But now with the tools, I really get it was creation. It wasn't just about one business, but it was like the businesses communicate with me. And I was one of the ways to voice what the business was voicing. And with it, a lot of times, I've contributed to creating businesses around the world for others, different organizations. And still, I realized how much there was this point of view of you create a business, you grow the business, you sell the business, and you move on to your next business, which is one of the things that really I realize is not my way of doing business. And when I learned the tools of Joy Business, I actually had my own management consulting company that was very successful, had many different kinds of clients in the government, in the not for profit, in corporate. And when I started to learn the tools, I started to create an access business, different tools, different services that we provided. And as soon as I did, unconsciously, I was trying to kill my first business because it was that energy that I can have one business at a time. So if I'm going to have this brand new business and this one's going to be successful, it means it needs all my energy. And this is all totally like unaware that I'm even doing this. I'm trying to kill one business, but it kept growing. It kept expanding even more because this business wasn't about destruction. It was about becoming more present. It was about being more conscious. It was about having more joy with what I was creating. And so the businesses started to contribute to each other. And I realized, what the heck am I doing? For what reason would I try to ever kill any business, especially one that's successful and doing well? But it meant I had to be willing to change things. I had to be willing to change the things that weren't fun for me with that particular project or the clients I was dealing with and really focus more of me being the choosing one. And the minute I did that, those two were in harmony and co-creating together. And then we'll talk more about the other businesses.
I would say people watching here, they may not know what being the chosen one is. Can you
Yeah.
talk about that? Like, so your story of
Yeah.
change was you came away from the consulting business, is that correct?
No. Actually, my story of change was to stop killing my consulting practice,
Oh,
to allow it to thrive, and to allow my access business to contribute to it, for it to contribute to that, and create more businesses.
so you still have both now, so both are still okay. Awesome.
Yeah. But the choosing one, we don't realize we have choice. Like even as a consultant, it's funny because I never created this way, but with consulting is a business has a need, right? They put out what's called an RFP to get people to submit their ideas, what they're going to do, what they're going to charge. And then the client gets to be the choosing one to say, yeah, you get to come do my project or not. What I realized for me, all my consulting clients, even the government, were through word of mouth. They were through CEOs pulling me in. So it was more of me getting to choose, would I like to work with this client? And what I also realized, there was moments in my consulting practice where I cared more about the success of the business than the people I was working with.
I said that just wasn't probably once.
Yeah, not once.
I,
But
I, I've chosen only to work with two companies because for me it's not entirely fun. So thank you for talking about this. And so this is where the choosing one is like, is this fun for me? And I would enjoy working with this company. I would enjoy bringing what I know and the gift of your knowing. Beautiful. Yeah.
And it's interesting. As soon as I recognized that I was going insane thinking that they actually desired change. Like, I was looking at what was possible with the business from what the voices of the business were sharing of the future they desired. So I had to actually be present and be like, I'm willing to know what this business requires, even if they're not. But I also have to choose, hey, I can't be the one pulling them or pushing them forward. It has to be that they are looking at, this is what they drive. They would like to drive forward, and I could be a contribution to getting there. So by asking them questions, letting them get the awareness of what the business is asking for, and then be a contribution was very different than me wanting to pull on people who weren't interested in being pulled. As soon as I changed that, then they were engaged, then they were interested, then they were willing to contribute. They brought their ideas, then they brought different ways to become ambassadors. So, it was about me changing my point of view of what was a job of a consultant, and it also made it more fun.
So there you go, folks. So do you want to give people, like, you've talked about being the chosen one, you've talked about contribution, you've talked about people not looking to change, you've talked about choice and who and who you choose to work with. And so sometimes you continue to work with people and other times you don't. It's all a choice. So would you like to, if people are out there and they're like, okay, I'm actually really struggling with the concept that I can manage, because you're now managing two successful businesses. So, so what tips? I'd love you to have like a treat. Yeah.
Can I add a little bit more? So I actually have 5 businesses. So the 2 were the originals. And one of the things that I did want to talk about here is a lot of times we have the capacity to be creative with multiple things, and we narrow it to one. So the whole idea of having multiple businesses, what if it is that you have multiple capacities and it's not about just contributing to one? And I work with other businesses, so I'm also contributing to them. But the whole key to all of this is, what if it's not the way that we think it is? Like, my mindset was one business at a time. But I realized that wasn't my mindset at all. I am the kind of person who needs to have 2,000 things going on at the same time. Otherwise, I will go crazy and I will put everyone else in craziness too. So finding what is actually true for you. And if you have,
Let's
find what's true for you. Truly.
Find what's actually true for you. In Ireland, we say, my gra, what pulls my heart. Find what's true for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that.
And the other thing is, like, you might have a job. You're watching this and you're like, hey, I have a job, but how do I apply what you're talking about to a job that I have? Well, what have you decided your job is? What if it's not? And what could you change? What could you add? Who could you add that allows your job to be a lot more fun too? And I get a lot of times we're looking linear. We're going straight on a, like, I got to go down this road, instead of, what if you don't? What if what you need is a moment to the right, a moment to the left, a moment forward, a moment, like it's these different moments, and finding out what is going to be fun for you in that particular job. Just even asking, what do I have to be or do different to allow this to be more fun for me?
Mhm. So tip number two, I'm gonna like, so people, I love when people get takeaways. You don't have to do it all by yourself, and you can add people. I suppose come away from micromanagement and into adding people who that it may be fun for them. Beautiful.
Yeah. And also know, what if you can have businesses in different countries? Because my first two were American based. I lived in America. And then when I moved to Portugal, I started a business in Portugal. And at first it seemed like, oh, this is going to be so interesting. Their way of doing business is so different. But what if all you need is different people you can talk to what's actually required? And then that business is there. And then I'm now moving to Dubai, and we're building a first wellness center, building actually wellness tower, that's everything wellness. And so now I'm starting a business in the UAE, and their way of doing business is different. But again, what if it's not wrong? What if it's not difficult? It's just you needing to just say, who can I talk to that has the information for me? Like, I
Mm.
remember, Rachel, I even contacted you. I was like, hey, who did you use in Dubai? Who are you working with? And I decided to go down that road and talk to the people you talk to. But I realized what I required, that person couldn't fulfill. So it's not about talking to people to do it their way, but for
No.
you to gain information, awareness, and then ask, what is required for you? What
Mm.
is required for you to create a business with ease? Who do you
So
need to
what
talk to?
you're saying, yeah. So what you're saying is don't follow anyone. Like go with your own intuition, be a free thinker and know what actually is going to work for you. That's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And sometimes you won't know until you try. Like, I tried one guy, we went down a road, then I realized, XA, this road's not working for me. And then who else can help me? So, like, also know there is no right or wrong, but you're going to gain awareness. And, sometimes we also have to be willing to say, hey, who cares? I just spent some money. Who cares? The money will come in other ways. What's the route that's going to create the greatest ease for me?
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm not sure if you know this, but for me, I opened a corporate in Dubai and I got residency, and now I have no interest in living there, so I'm going to close the whole thing. So choice creates awareness. There's more growth, there's more information. And I would say the takeaway from this is no matter what it is, you can change. You are capable of changing everything and anything. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And even to that note, Rach, like, what I realized is I set up two different businesses in Dubai, like one that will be with my wellness center and one that's here from my consulting and other things. And so, again, in business, what if it doesn't have to look one way? What is the way that is going to give you what you require today and create the futures you desire to create? And it may be different. Like, one of my businesses had to be set up very, very different to be able to fulfill the needs of today. But when this building is finished, what I require there is totally different. So, again, what if it's not about, how the website tells you the rules and regulations are, but you being aware of what those are, but what can you create that will work for you?
Beautiful. Let's finish on that. Thank you so much for sharing your stories of change. And the big takeaway is what can you create? That's the big thing. What can you create that works for you? And whether that's a small business or a big business or a global business or a local business, whatever it is that is fun and is true for you. So what can you create that works for you? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And how much fun could you have? Because really, as soon as we have fun is where the creativity juices go exponentializing. So add a little more fun to your body and your life and see what else you can create.
There it is. Thanks so much. Thanks for being on. We hope this contributed to you. And yeah, we'll see you the next time. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Rach.
Bye.